Okay. We are getting there. Okay, so I'll say good afternoon again. And thanks again for being here. We have with us Tom Lyons from Lyons Global Media. He's a local guy from the area and back, which is nice. We're glad he's back. He's done some seminars with us before. Tom's known as a marketing insight guy, and he knows ways to supercharge business. And he believes that every business can earn 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, even more than it is right now. So that sounds great because we'd like to do that, right? He's worked with famous corporations, everything from Navient, JP Morgan Chase, Geico, and others. He is a former Eagle Scout, and he's educated from the SUNY RIT. I just wanted to get that in there. Today's topic is let's get back to business, looking at your business differently as a result of the shutdown and the changing consumer habits. And he's going to be talking about online shopping, marketing. And then I think, Tom, you'll share your slide deck with us when it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send that to everybody. I'll send it to either Kelly or yourself. And if you want to distribute mine, or if you want, I can do it individually.
Perfect. I'll have a list afterwards so I can send it out to people. Also, any questions, you can put it in the chat box on to the right. Can everybody hear me? Let me see. Is my audio on? Tom, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I did see in the chat box that there's a couple of people that for some reason they're having trouble. My suggestion would be to go out and go back in. If that doesn't work, maybe restart whatever device you're on.
No, some people can say, so I guess I am. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but other people are. So it appears that if people can hear me, then I am broadcasting. Check your speakers, make sure you got the right audio devices. Yeah. Just real quick, and I'll mention at the end, we have another Zoom call scheduled, or a Zoom chat here, scheduled for Monday, May 18th at 11 a.m., where we've invited Dr. Collins, Commissioner of Health, Laura Palucci, Public Health Administrator, and Steve Perkins, the Director of Environmental Health, to talk about reopening process, sanitation, hygiene at the workplace, and the ability to ask some questions to try and understand what some of these new guidelines from the state are. And many things are changing day by day, and information from the state changes at times I find hourly. So we just kind of have to roll with it the best that we can. I'm going to now stop talking and turn this over to Tom. He has a PowerPoint that we can watch while he presents. So I'm going to do that. And welcome, Tom Lyon.
Cool. Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate the intro. I appreciate the opportunity. You got some of that intro off our website, which I very much appreciate. So thank you for that. So yes, again, my name is Tom Lyon. I run a company called Lyons Global, and we do digital marketing. Most of our clients actually are not from around this area. Prior to this whole COVID thing, our team is actually fully distributed, meaning that we all have always worked remotely. But recently started getting some local clients and wanted to get involved with the chamber. So I had an opportunity to do that. And again, I appreciate the opportunity. So yes, we are here today to talk about getting back to business because my focus is marketing. Most of what we're going to talk about today is going to be geared towards getting customers and getting people to be comfortable and coming back to your respective businesses in the new business climate that we all find ourselves in. So I'm sure most of us are very familiar with Zoom. However, just a quick thing that I like to bring up. Even though you may think that you're muted or you may think that your video is off, there's always a chance that the Zoom might, your microphone might pop on, your video might come on. So just be cognizant of your surroundings, both from an audio perspective and video. I always like to bring that up because I've seen some fun things whenever we've done these. We've seen people lotioning their toes. We've seen folks doing all kinds of other stuff. So I just like to bring that up at the beginning of the call because you never know who's watching. So yeah, I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. and show you a little bit of a slideshow here that we put together, and kind of go through this together so we can see what we can do to move forward together and work together and on moving forward. So again, my name is Tom Lyon. Our business is Lyons Global. We do digital marketing. We're here today because we're going to talk about how best to move forward with marketing your business and your services in the new world. We're going to cover a variety of things, kind of start talking about the current situation, discuss how we got here, discuss, when we're going to open again, kind of where the guidance is coming from and what we need to do to be prepared. Then we'll talk about some non-digital marketing things that many of you, I see some of the names here. I know some of you do digital, but some of you are doing non-digital, being things like Penny Saver, things like that. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about some really neat tools, free tools in most cases, that Google is offering to all small businesses that will help you if you're not already using them. I saw some of the names. I see some of you are using these tools, but I also know that some of you are not. And since they're free, they're definitely worth taking a look at. And then we'll talk about, and this is probably where the bulk of the good information will come in. We're going to talk about how the consumer buying process has changed, right? It used to be a certain way. You'd go to a store, you'd see something you want, you'd buy it, bing, bang, boom, done. But there's some more steps involved now, aren't there? There's, some research that folks are doing online, and there's some other steps. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how to manage those steps. And I promise not to be too salesy, but of course, if anybody needs help, we're happy to help. So again, that's me. And let's talk about the situation. So we're all pretty much, I believe we're all Wyoming County folks here, myself included. And it looks like we've got a variety of different types of businesses represented on the call. But I know that in Wyoming County, we've got many different types of businesses, from large industry to one of my clients owns a small gift shop in a town here. We've got manufacturing, we've got a lot of different things. So our customers all come from a variety of different verticals and different areas. But in sum and substance, we're still a small community, right? We rely on our income in order to put back into the community and to survive. So this COVID-19 shutdown, or whatever you would like to affectionately refer to it as, has really, taken a toll on many of us. There are some businesses that operate more in the digital space, such as ours, that perhaps have been set up to do remote for a while, that it really hasn't tremendously impacted us. But I think the majority of businesses in the area have seen some pretty significant impact, regardless of whether you're a restaurant or a CPA, or if you are a potato chip manufacturer, or if you are a small gift shop or a collection agency. We've all seen some kind of effect that has come to us because of this COVID. And one of the biggest things that we have seen as a digital agency over the last 30 days, actually more intensely over the last 2 weeks, is that there are a lot of companies that are just simply not set up to sell online. They may have a website, they may have all kinds of digital stuff, which is super awesome. But as soon as your ability to sell your products or services to people that normally walk in your door goes away, your revenue stream also goes away. So, whether that's takeout orders for a restaurant, right? I live in Perry, and I'm pretty sure at this point that we've got somewhere around 40,000 frequent flyer miles with Daryl's. Because they're set up to take orders online. They always have been. And it's just easy, right? Sure, you can call some folks, you can call and place orders, but you're dealing with busy signals when you're busy, and you're dealing with people who just maybe they don't want to do that. They want to go and order online. Or for those of you that have restaurants, you get the illustrious phone call. You're busy, you've got phones ringing off the hook. Oh, are you guys still selling everything? What are your specials? Is there anything that's not available? And then, you'll take a 10-minute phone call to place a $10 order. So I say all that to say this. Most businesses are typically not set up to sell online, and it's something that's pretty important, and we'll touch on that. So right now we're at a position where we're going into the unknown. I'm pretty sure that most of us have never been in an exact situation like this before. So a lot of it is unknown, and there's a lot of guidance out there from a lot of different sources. There's a lot of, shall we say, suggestions on what to do to move forward, including what we're talking about today. But the bottom line is we really don't know what's going to happen next. We can guess, we can project, we can forecast, but what's really going to matter is how our consumers behave moving forward. Whether your consumer is somebody, a family who's buying groceries, your consumer is a business professional who needs your professional services. Regardless of what you sell or provide, it's important that we understand how the consumer is going to move forward in order to best market to that consumer and increase your chance of helping them make a sale. So when will we open? Great question. There's some guidance on what's going on. I'm not, one of the things that I committed to on this call to myself anyhow, is not getting into too many political discussions. So we'll leave that where it is, and we'll just say, when will we open? We'll open when we do, right? I know some folks are chomping at the bit and have discussed opening before the guidance says they should. Okay. There's some other people that say they're going to wait, even if they say they're supposed to be open, they're going to wait longer. Okay. But whenever you open, it's important that you are ready, and it's important that your expectations of both yourselves and your clients or customers are there, and that you have a good understanding. Just to make things perfectly clear, what we do is marketing. And because of that, we've got a relatively good pulse on what's going on, not only locally and not only nationally, but also internationally. And here's what I can tell you. Things are different, and they're going to be different. I know this might be common sense. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. I know things are going to be different, but I think things are going to be so different that we all have to make significant changes to our business operations moving forward. Some are simple. I say significant, meaning perhaps quantity. Some are simple changes that maybe we should have been doing all along, myself included, and others might involve some more intense things. But let's take a look. First thing, like I mentioned, we have to be prepared. What does that mean? So, Scott, thank you. You mentioned that I was an Eagle Scout, and I was. The Boy Scout motto is be prepared. And that has such a broad application in life. But in this specific situation, we have to be prepared for the unexpected. Again, because we don't know for sure what's going to happen, we have to be agile. We have to be able to adapt. And what's most important here is whoever is able to adapt the quickest and the most streamlined is going to win the trophy at the end of the day. Because when our consumers are looking for somebody to meet their needs right away, they don't want to wait for somebody to figure out how to set up social distancing in their store. Oh, we haven't quite figured it out yet. We're that's fine, but they're going to find somebody who has. So it's important that you're prepared in moving forward. So this is just a couple of things on this slide here that we kind of put together. Check your inventory levels, right? So do you have too much of something that doesn't sell? Is that something maybe on a consignment order that you can send back to your vendor for a credit for maybe some other things that you need to sell? I have a client actually that ran into a similar situation. They had many of a certain product that they anticipated selling, but due to this situation, they will never probably sell that product again. So, what are the options there? Do they eat it, right? Are they stuck with it? Is it gone? Is that money gone forever that they spent on that? Or are there some alternatives? So checking inventory levels works kind of by level if you're an inventory type of business. On the flip side, because we don't know what to expect, do you have enough of the things you need? If not, now's the time to make that happen. Plan on comforting customers. Obviously, we're not talking about hugs, although several people I'm sure would appreciate a hug right about now after the craziness we've been with. But you want to make sure that your customers are going to feel comfortable, and this goes on to the next one, and safe, right? I can think of a restaurant, not in our county, but in Genesee County, that within the last 6 months to a year had an issue with a rodent control problem that made headlines. It was big news. It was all over the place. And instead of shutting down, gutting the place, completely reinventing it to make people more comfortable, My understanding is that there was just a little bit done and then that never really recovered. And now that restaurant is for sale. And I think it was for sale even before the COVID thing. So do we have to go through and completely change the way we do business? No, but think of yourself as a consumer. When you walk into an establishment post-COVID or post-COVID opening, right? Because who knows when the whole COVID thing will be over. When you go into an establishment, what are you looking for to make you feel comfortable? If you're at the outside looking in to decide whether or not you want to go in, what are you looking for? Are you looking for things like stickers on the floor? You know, that's one thing that I've seen a lot of businesses do, and that's fine. You can measure out, 6 feet for folks who can't get that. Or do you think maybe that, maybe a hand sanitizer station at the front door, maybe a bright, clean, inviting environment that is free from clutter, free, because if you've got an office, for example, that's got clutter all over it, and there's just stuff all over, that may be the way that you are comfortable and the way that you do business. That's a common thing that I hear from a lot of our clients. Well, that's just how we do it. And if people don't like it, too bad. Cool. But that's not going to fly anymore, I don't think. And the reason is because now people are going to connect certain things with other things that they might not have in the past. You walk into an office environment and there's clutter all over. What else isn't being cleaned, right? If this person doesn't care enough about their establishment and their overall business to at least organize it, right? Make it somewhat clean, professional. What else are they missing? And is that a risk to me? So as a business owner, this is something you have to look at. We're all, myself included, we're all selfish in this regard. A lot of times we're looking at our own situation and what is going to be good for me? How am I going to recover? How are we going to do this? And that's fine. But flip that around, at least for purposes of this conversation, and look at it in the eyes of the consumer, right? What can we do to make our customers comfortable in coming back? Would they be comfortable coming back? And that's something we need to take a look at. And again, kind of spent a lot of time on this slide here, but comforting customers, making people feel safe. Somebody calls and says, how many people are you letting in your store, your location at a time? Have an answer for them. We haven't really figured out a plan, a definitive plan that's going to work for you and your customers, and stick to it and have it available when people ask for it, right? So let's talk about estimating the ramp up. Ramp up meaning once you say, all right, we're open, how quickly are you going to get business back? In a perfect world, you would flip that sign and say, all right, we're open, and things would be back to normal. The likelihood of that happening, not very good. In some businesses, in some industries, that might be. Haircuts, for instance, I desperately need a haircut. So as soon as my hairdresser is open, I will be in there and probably begging to get paid on the list. In fact, if I were a hairdresser right now, I would be putting together some sort of VIP program to say, hey, you know what, get to the top of our list. You can hop online and make a reservation right now. And whenever we do reopen, you'll be at the top of the list. But that's just my selfish whatever. Some people would say that that's taking advantage of a situation, but we're all in business to make money. That being said, the ramp up will probably start slow. And Scott and I were talking a little bit about this before we started this meeting. Why will the ramp up be slow? Well, over the last 45 to 60 days or so, folks have grown accustomed to doing things differently. What do I mean by that? Ordering food, yeah, that's a given. Ordering things that maybe they would get at the grocery store, yeah. Finding a service online that will handle things that maybe they would go to a local for before. An example, there are companies online now that are offering bookkeeping services. Perhaps, you've got some clients that are looking to make a switch because it wouldn't require a visit, an in-person visit. Not that type of industry requires in-person visits anyway. You can always do things digitally. But for the folks that are not used to that and they're looking for a different solution, that's something that's available to them. One item that I can think of immediate that comes to mind immediately is doctor's visits. I had a meeting with the Joe, the CEO of Warsaw Hospital, or Wyoming County Community Health System, recently. We were discussing the online doctor's visits. That's a big thing now. People are not going to their doctors anymore if they can just see them on the phone. Why would you especially folks that are in medical predispositions that make things complicated for them, or older folks, folks that require someone else to drive them to the doctor's office. You're just popping out your phone now, scheduling an appointment and seeing the doc right on there. Doc can send scripts right over electronically now. You don't have to go to the doctor's office. So talking about, I kind of got off topic here, but things are going to start slower. You may be expecting to get ramped up to even 50% of what you're looking at before, but we should plan for, and we should expect it to start slow. If the numbers prove us wrong or prove me wrong, great, that's awesome. And that's fantastic, because that means more revenue for you. But when making projections and figuring out what's going to happen next, we have to assume that things are going to start slow. And that's something to keep in mind. So it says there, motivate reviews. What do I mean by that? One of the when we take on a new marketing client, we do a full assessment and we look at different things. And one of the most important things that a lot of companies neglect are your reviews. We actually encourage people, there's kind of a flow and an order of operations. You remember in I think elementary, middle school, order of operations, PEMDAS. Does anyone remember that? Anyway, it doesn't make sense to do one thing unless you've got the other stuff taken care of first. Otherwise, you're just wasting money. So even though we provide paid Facebook ads, things like that, if somebody's website is hot garbage, or if their reviews are just horrible or non-existent, or they exist but have never been responded to, we say, no, do not spend money on advertising, because when people see your advertising and they click, what are they seeing? Right? So why do I have motivate reviews on here? Getting reviews is something you can do for free, and it will help you in the short term and the long term, especially with the COVID situation. What do I mean by motivating reviews? Encourage people that are conducting business with you post-COVID to leave a review about their specific COVID experience on Facebook, on Google, assuming you have those things set up. Because what will happen, and we'll talk about this in a bit, is when people are trying to make a decision on where to do business, who to do business with, they're going to go online and they're going to see what people are saying. They're going to see what's going on for COVID for the particular business. They're going to make that decision before they ever step foot in your establishment, before they ever call you. Reviews are very powerful, and they're even more powerful if they're good. And if you've responded to them all, they're super powerful. Talking about stock and inventory, do you have enough stock, right? But specifically, maybe it's time to change what you offer. Maybe you are catering to, maybe you're a farm equipment store, right? And maybe you have the big daddy super magic mystery machine that does everything from soup to nuts. Clearly, I'm not an ag guy. I apologize to those of you in the ag world. I'm not familiar with your equipment, but I'm here to help. Maybe you're an ag equipment seller that sells something super big, but maybe your customers don't need that. Maybe they need some smaller stuff, right? Especially with everything going on right now with dumping milk and burying crops over and all that stuff. Maybe you need to have some different types of products available for your customers that perhaps you didn't have before. So something to think about. And then budget versus expenses. This is very simple. Take a look at your business's budget, look at your expenses, see what you can trim. Business 101. One of the things that we get frequently is I have clients that come to me that they're very good at a specific trade. They're an awesome welder. They're an awesome builder. They're an awesome DJ. They're an awesome manufacturing guy or gal, but they're not good at running a business, right? So you can be the best welder in the world. You can be the best DJ in the world. But if you're not too good at running a business, or you can't afford to hire somebody to do that for you, things might not work well. Budget and expenses can sometimes be a tricky thing for all of us, right? I'm not even going to get into the PPP loan and the EIDL loans and all that. We can save that for Scott or Kelly or somebody else who's interested in chatting with you about that. But what I will say is this. there's always opportunities to increase your revenue through non-traditional methods, right? Maybe some add-ons to some services that you have, maybe finding ways to change the cost of the goods that you sell, right? If you're a restaurant and you're selling Cisco Mac, Mac salad for, it's 75 cents a serving, maybe there's a different brand, American Food or something that has something for 65 cents. Sounds 10 cents. What's the difference, Tom? It's no big deal. Stuff like that. If you do that over time, it's going to add up and it's going to be very helpful to you. Talking about making customers feel comfortable and welcome. We talked on this a little bit ago, but we're talking about masks, right? I know that there are those of us, particularly in this geographical location, who have mixed emotions on masks. I would encourage you to do what's going to make your customers feel the most safe. If you are concerned with your personal assessment of the mask thing, that's fine, but not all of your customers, or more importantly, your potential customers, are going to share that view. So it's important to take that into consideration when deciding your mask policy. Distancing, self-explanatory, clean environment, and clean employees. I keep talking about restaurants because that's what I'm thinking of. There are several people that I'm aware of that perhaps either are or are not on this call. I don't see the whole list right now. That may be in the restaurant business. If your restaurant is just typically something that people are questionable about sometimes, right? If they can see back into the kitchen and go, maybe use some of this downtime, if you haven't already, to do some super, super, super deep cleaning. And one of the other things you can do, there is actually somebody that I know that does a business that's doing this. When they reopen, they plan on inviting people in to look in their kitchen. Come check out all the clean and fun things that we did while we were down, kind of like a tour of their establishment. And that's being done to help promote the fact that it's safe and clean, etc. Do not be afraid to sell. It is okay to sell your product and service to people. It's not taking advantage of people. I'll sell you something right now. No, I won't. But I would be okay doing that if you were somebody who were inquiring about our business. It is okay to sell. You don't have to discount everything by 75%. You are in business. It is your livelihood to generate revenue for your business, and it is okay to sell. People get it. People know that you have to sell. If they don't get it, are they likely to have bought from you before anyhow? I don't know. Don't know the answer to that. But I would say that do not be afraid to sell. When you are selling, what's new? What are you doing now that's new that you didn't do before? Definitely something to make sure you tell people about. What's different, new and different, same thing in the marketing world. Even though it's a blue cup, now if you're selling red cups, check out our new red cups. Same thing, but same effect or different effect. And then what's your best seller? Take a look at your current inventory. Take a look at your sales. What is it that you sell the most of? And maybe figure out a way to capitalize on that moving forward. Let's talk about a couple of different avenues you can go for marketing, both digital and non. So non-digital in our area, Penny Saver is a big one. I think a lot of folks in the area, myself included, still pick up the Penny Saver. And I want to talk a little bit about the Penny Saver. I think they're a fantastic group of folks, but we all know the Penny Saver has started to shrink in size. That's because people are realizing the value of digital marketing. This is not a dig against the Penny Saver. In fact, I say that to say this. The Penny Saver is great for hyper-local advertising. What do I mean by that? If you are trying to target folks that you know consistently read the Penny Saver and have for years, that's a great way, and it's actually a very inexpensive way to target those folks. I used to have a different opinion on this, but that opinion changed recently when I needed to provide marketing services for somebody who their specific target audience are not folks who are scrolling through Facebook. So we put together something for them and it worked phenomenally. So something to keep in mind. And word of mouth, of course. All of us know word of mouth is the cheapest and most positive way of advertising your business. So the more people know about you, the better. How do you do that? Community events is one. We're all aware of the wonderful positive thing that comes from helping other people, that sense of knowing that you've made a difference in your community. And it really helps you solidify who you are as a person too. And good people want to do business with good people. So just something to keep in mind. Effective digital marketing. So there's a few other things that we'll talk. I'm going to actually pull up some stuff on Google's website in a moment. But your website, number one, do you have one? If you don't, we need to chat. Number two, if you do have a website, does it sell or is it just informational? Having a website is great, but if it doesn't do anything, it's not helping you. Well, Tom, I sell, what do I sell? I'm trying not to single anyone out. I sell legal services. So I don't need people to be able to place an order online or anything like that. Okay, cool. Rock and roll. But can they schedule an appointment with you online? Can they download maybe some free forms that after they fill them out, they can get them to you and they'll make your job a lot easier? Is there a form online that they can fill out that will go directly to you? So instead of spending an hour trying to get the information from the client, let them fill it out on their own time. And then when you get it, bing, bang, boom, 15 minutes, you're done. And maybe you can bill them for the hour. But I say all that to say this: if you have a website, it has to do something for you. It can't just be a yellow page ad, because we all know what happened to the yellow pages. Social media posts and ads, two different things. Won't get into it tremendously here, but if you are posting on your Facebook, you're posting on your Instagram, that is great. Keep in mind, the only people that are going to see that are people who have already liked your page or profile. Those are not ads. Those are not paid ads. They don't go out to other people who don't already know about your business. It is the difference between giving everyone in your family a flyer with a coupon for your business. They already know about your business. And giving everyone in the city of Rochester a flyer about your business with a coupon. Two different things, two different results. If you want to have a conversation about that, let me know. Social media, organic versus paid. This is kind of along the same vein, but using social media to promote your business can be very, very good on both sides, either the free side, which is the organic side, or the paid side. Typically, the organic side that doesn't cost any money is going to be good for larger organizations with a huge customer base. For most local businesses, even B2B businesses, like I see several of you are, you got to venture into the paid stratosphere. It's not as expensive as you think, but we'll talk about that. So real quick, what I want to do is I want to pull up this Google thing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen over here. And I'm going to open a new window and pull up this Google suggestions here so we can chat about that. So here it comes. Oh, I lied. We'll click that button. All right, here it comes. So Google has put together a super cool resource where you can go and you can check out several suggestions that they have for COVID-19. This link will be available to you as well in the content that we send out after this. But so there's a couple of things up here just talking about some money that you can get and some special offers that are available, which are all hunky-dory, and that's fantastic. But down here, there's some really cool steps that you can take. Most of this is free. I'm going to breeze through this super quick just so you can see what's available. And like I said, we'll send this link out to you so you can check it out. Keeping your customers informed. Updating your business profile on Google. If you've not already set up your Google business profile, please do. It's free, and it's a great way to control what people see about your business when they're searching Google. Yes, you have the ability to control that, and it's free. So this gives you information on how to do that. You can change your hours. You can put if you're closed. You can talk about specific COVID-related things for your business, about how you're making changes, new products you might have, confirm your phone number, things like that. So that's a really, really cool resource that's available. The Google My Business. I think it's just called Google Business now. We have managed Google business profiles for a number of our clients, and it has made a dramatic difference in how they appear on Google, which is fantastic. Adjust your advertising. This is making the assumption that some of you are advertising in the digital space. When this whole thing started, we kind of sat for a little bit, but then what we had to do is we had to go back and adjust all the wording on several of the ads for several of our clients. Some of the wordings just, they weren't appropriate for the climate. So we had to go back and make some adjustments. But what this is talking about specifically is you can update your Google ad campaigns. If you're somebody who does pay-per-click through Google, it gives you a couple of ways here that you can edit your ads. It will also give you a few suggestions. Also adjusting your budget if you're trying to spend less or maybe more on Google Ads will allow you to do that. And then if you don't already have it, whoever's managing your Google Ads should definitely download the Google Ads app, which allows you to completely manage the entire Google thing, the Google Ads platform from your smart device, which can be very, very helpful since most of you are working from home now. So just something cool there. Continuing to adapt to new customer behavior. We've talked about this a little bit, but let me read a little bit about what it's saying here. These are some examples. A retailer with a brick and mortar shop might start to sell products online. That's the biggest one that we have seen as a digital marketing agency. Is folks in the last 2 to 3 weeks have come to us and said, how can we get a website up selling our stuff yesterday? We don't care what it takes, let us know. And that's what we've been busy with. Or a restaurant offering online ordering for pickup and delivery. A little more complex, can be done. We did one for a company about a week and a half. We got them from having no website at all to having a website with online ordering available, which is like record. It's even a record for us. But yeah, anyway, a personal trainer that does virtual training sessions. I know in Wyoming County, we have at least 2 people that are doing this. I am very clearly not a fitness guy. However, I have seen on my Facebook feed, specifically some of the stuff that the chamber has sent, I've seen this going on, and that's a super cool, super creative way to continue providing value for your members that have signed up for memberships. And it's going to prevent the churn on those memberships too. And plus it's an opportunity for more people to sign up. So that's a super awesome way to take not advantage of the situation, but to take, a cup of lemons and turn them into really good lemonade. If you're an artist, maybe you have a YouTube live stream to teach your classes. There's a lot of folks doing live videos. We did a handful of videos on our Facebook Live about a month. No, not a month. Hasn't been that long. Maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Covering everything from how to build a website to how to do Facebook ads correctly, from everything from soup to nuts, really. We did in one video, we showed you how to build a very basic e-commerce website in under 45 minutes, just on YouTube Live and Facebook Live for free. Anyone that wants to watch can watch, it's still there. And then running your business remotely. We're all doing that. As I mentioned, Lyons Global, my company, we've been running remotely ever since inception because it's just the way to go. And we're using Zoom right now, but there's also something else out there called Google Meet, which is super cool. And recently they've opened it up to everybody. It used to be specific to certain folks, but it's been opened up to everybody. So that is something that you can take a look at. And Google Meet is super awesome. So there's a lot of resources here. There's tons more resources that Google has, that Facebook has, and you should definitely go and check them out at your convenience because they are all super good and super helpful. These are the folks that know digital marketing the best. They know it the best because they want your money. And they know that the best way to do that is to get you advertising on their platforms. So they encourage you to do that, but they also provide you with some resources that are either free or very low cost. So let me come back to this original presentation, and we are going to keep going along here. So I want to talk a little bit about how digital marketing has changed. This is part of our larger presentation for those of you that have attended either our presentation at the chamber or have had a call with us, or if I didn't see if any of my current clients are on. If you are, welcome. But if you're a current client of ours, some of this will be repeat for you, but I'm going to go over it anyway for those of you who it is not repeat for. But let's talk about how marketing has changed, right? Buying decisions, even before COVID, were being made online before folks even stepped foot into your store. 93% of shoppers say that they've used online resources, and then 83% said that before they even came to your location, they looked online and they Googled you or Yahoo'd you or tried to find information about what it is they're trying to buy. So in the past, this has been the traditional customer journey, the buying model, right? Somehow somebody finds out about your product and gets an initial stimulus. They're interested in the product, right? So they go to your business and they say, here's my $50, give me the product. That's what we call the first moment of truth. And in the customer journey, that's where the customer is experiencing an interaction with your company and, making that purchase. They're saying, yep, I like this enough to give you my hard-earned money. And then the second moment of truth comes after they get the product and they look at it or eat it or whatever they're going to do with it and say, oh man, this is super good, or oh, that sucked. Nobody likes to hear that, but sometimes that happens, right? So this has been the traditional buying model for years and years and years and years and years. But what has happened now is there's an extra step. Even before COVID happened, customer behavior has changed. And after somebody becomes interested in making a purchase, they're pulling out their phone and they're looking on Google. They're looking for information about the product. They're looking for information about the company. They're trying to see a couple of things. Not only are they trying to see what you as a company are saying, but they're also looking at seeing what other people are saying about your company and your product, right? Very, very important. So what happens now is if you look at this diagram here, we're going to call that the 0 moment of truth, right? Just for ease of use. But if you look at the end, that second moment of truth where somebody has already purchased, they got the product, they got the meal, either they loved it or they hated it. Now what they can do is they can post a review. They can complain online. They can go on your Facebook. They can go on the Google. They can write on Yelp. They can say good things about you, or they can say bad things. And what happens now is that contributes to the next person's moment of truth, their 0 moment of truth. What happens, oh, I forwarded myself there. What happens at this point is now going to affect this 0 moment of truth, right? So what becomes important is how this whole process flows for you as a business, right? Do you stand out where people are making decisions? If I were to pull out my phone right now and Google a random person that's on this call, Google their business, what am I going to see? I'm not going to do that. That's something that we do in some workshops, but I'm not going to do that here. 93% of shoppers say they've used the online resources. So when people are using those online resources, what do they find? One of the regular kickbacks I get on this is, oh, you know what? Our locals know us and they love us and that's all we need. Cool. If your sales are through the roof, that is awesome. One example that I'm going to use, and I have this person's permission because they're a dear friend of mine, and have come to enjoy this person's company significantly. The owner of Silver Lake Restaurant in Warsaw, Nick Gitsis, has lots of locals that come to the Silver Lake Restaurant, and they're fantastic, and they provide a lot of business for Silver Lake. But did you know that if you are in New Jersey and you go to your GPS and put in Niagara Falls, that the GPS takes you right down 20A in Warsaw? So why is that important? That's important because it actually, the timing of it, if you leave in the morning, it gets you to a point where you're hungry right around then. So what has happened is he has been able to target folks that are traveling from anywhere really going in that direction to Niagara Falls. When you are looking for something to eat, they come up now. And it's a very interesting way of targeting people. So while it is true that you may be able to rely on your locals, and that's fantastic, there's a whole world of other people out there that may be interested in buying your product or service. And I know we're Wyoming County folks, but there's a whole world out there, everybody. And they have money and they want to spend money, and we need the money in our local economy. So how are you standing out online right now, right? So let me talk very briefly about the customer journey. We won't spend too much time on this whole thing, but you've heard the term funnel. This is kind of our sideways funnel, our vertical or our horizontal funnel rather. So in the beginning, there's awareness. That's, how people become aware of your product or service or your business. This is typically through advertising, whether you're doing social media or pay-per-click or whatever. And then after they are aware of you, what's your findability? When somebody Googles you, what do they see, right? Again, if you are a Silver Lake restaurant and you type and you're Silver Lake restaurant and somebody types restaurants in Warsaw, do you come up? If you do come up, what do you look like? Where's your ranking? What do your stars look like? If people don't know the name of your business and they're just looking for a specific type of business, they're going to type doctors in Batavia, New York, or movie theaters in Henrietta, New York. And what matters here is, are you findable, right? And after you're findable, What's your reputation? This is that moment where you're going to be chosen or not be chosen. You know, what does it say? What does the internet say about you? You know, when people are going through there and they're trying to find what's going on and trying to find somebody to help them, what are they able to find, and what is the reputation? And then after they find you, they say, oh, this looks like a pretty good company. They click on it. What does your conversion point look like? For most of us, that's our website. Can people conduct business on the website, or is your website just informational? Here's our name, address, and phone number. If you want to buy something, you have to call us or come in. That's great. But even if you're somebody who doesn't sell physical products or services, have a link there so they can make an appointment. Doesn't cost a lot, simple, easy, but it now allows transactions to happen on that conversion point. And of course, after that, advocacy. After somebody makes a purchase, do you have some kind of system in place to collect reviews, respond to reviews, to make that reputation better? Because remember, your advocacy is going to directly connect to your reputation. Why is this important now more than ever? It's important now more than ever because you are going to have to look at how you have been marketing to your potential customers and clients and make a couple changes, right? There's going to be an opportunity for you now more than ever to tweak and play with what it is you're doing in order to get customers. And a lot of this you can do for free or cheap. I would love it if you would hire me, but you don't have to. If you're even a little business savvy and even a little bit internet savvy, you can do all of this yourself. You can, it's completely possible. You know, what I like to tell people is you either have the time, right, to learn some of this stuff and trial and error, or you have the money. If you don't have the time, you should have the money to do this, to hire somebody else or internally or externally or whatever. But right now, most of us have time, at least we have up until recently, right? It's crunch time. It's time to do something. If we haven't done something yet, it's time to do it now before all these other phases kick in. And before we know it, we're going to be like, man, I feel like that time just flew by and I didn't get anything done. Now's the time. And then kind of talking about when we do these things, for most of us, it's going to be trial and error, right? Unless you're familiar significantly with marketing, I do see Olive and Ink on here, who's fantastic. Unless you're familiar with marketing as a whole process, you know, most of this stuff is new, right? And it's a learning process. But if you have the time right now, and if you haven't done anything yet in this regard, I think now is the time to do it, because pretty soon, you know, I don't know the timing, but pretty soon you're going to get a notification or you're going to read something on Facebook and they're going to say, all right, you can open tomorrow or you can open next week, right? That's what we're hoping for. All of our fingers are crossed here. And when it is time to open, what are you opening? Is it safe? Is it clean? Is it appealing to your customers, past, present, and future? Are you selling the things that people need and want, or are you trying something new and maybe it's not the right time? Are people going to flock to you because it's the only place they can get what you sell? Or do you sell something that they can get online? And if you sell something they can get online, what are you doing to make them buy it from you online, right? These are all things that you should definitely keep in mind and take into consideration. So at this point, you know, we've talked a little bit about the whole marketing process. We've talked about what's going to happen moving forward. We've talked about some of our best guesses as far as what might happen and the time frame for that. And I wanted to provide an opportunity here for a little bit of question and answer and maybe some discussion. You know, as a reminder, my viewpoint is from a marketing side. I'll be the first one to tell you, I outsource my my bookkeeping. I outsource several other things that we do. If you want to talk about PPP loans and grants and things like that, I'm definitely not going to be the best resource to do that. However, I'm happy to entertain any questions that anybody might have about marketing, digital marketing, non-digital marketing, things like that. I also see that there's some other folks on here who may be able to offer maybe some insight and expertise. So I'll kind of turn it back over to Scott here and kind of see what direction we want to go from here. Scott?
Well, I think it's a perfect time for questions. Thank you, Tom. Very interesting. People can post questions in the chat area, or I can't see everybody, so telling somebody to wave or raise their hand. The only person I can see right now is Mark. Hi, Mark. So that I can't do. But if you type your question in the box and it says everyone, it'll appear there, and then either I can unmute you and you can ask your question directly, or you can just ask it there and Tom can answer it, and we'll wait for a little bit to see if anyone has any, and if not, then we will look to wrapping it up. While we're waiting for people to think of anything, I want to remind everybody about the conversation with the health department officials on Monday. Also, go to the chamber website if you have any questions on some of the restart that the state is working on or that the county is working on. We keep it updated pretty regularly, and just go to wicochamber.org, and there's a well on the left side of the page that's just click restart and it'll take you to it. And there's information there as well on the very recently released information from forward.ny.gov. The link is there. And it has, in addition to what we have on our website, templates from the state that they finally come out with that has some guidance on establishing a plan for the businesses that are in phase 1. So it'll take you to the state site under each of the businesses. So construction, retail, manufacturing, and then there's guidance, there's draft samples, and then there's a self-certification link within the guidance document that you can self-certify that you have a plan in place. That it's interesting because it doesn't necessarily mean a lot. What it means is that the state has it on record that you have a plan in the event that a complaint or something is made about your business by an employee or a consumer or something like that. And if the state wants to investigate it, they don't want your plan. They're not going to, there's no place to send your plan. But it's certifying that you have a plan in place for reopening your business, primarily concerned with health and hygiene, safety for consumers and employees. The rest of an opening plan that you would have would probably be industry specific anyways, from restaurant to barber shops, salons, manufacturers has very specific things that they have to deal with. And retail businesses are very, very diverse. So that's just some brand new information that popped overnight. So we'll be putting that out there. It's already linked on our website. Again, you can go directly. Let's see, where do you register your restart plan again? That would be at, it's forward.ny.gov. You can also find that link and information at the Chamber's website, wicochamber.org. Are there any other questions? Any questions for Tom? Say, who makes the decision on whether a business can reopen early, the county or the state? That question really is a state question. The county doesn't have the authority to allow businesses to reopen. The county is typically the county is the enforcement vehicle. So it would be either the county health department or the county codes enforcement department. Permission to reopen a business not otherwise listed as essential or in the current list in phase 1, permission would have to come from the state economic development office in the region for which we are in, which would be Finger Lakes. We have a good relationship with them and can assist in helping, if there's information to be sent to them or how to do it. Are there any other questions?
I don't know if maybe it would be easier if anybody, instead of typing, if anybody might just want to unmute themselves and talk. I don't know if that's an option for you.
They can do that. Yep. What I'll do is I've unmuted everyone. So if your microphone's actually on, it just came on. So you want to make sure that you turn your microphone off, like Mark's is on and Barb's is on and Gary's is on. It's like romper room. I can look through my my mirror and I can see. But if you have a question, your mics are live at this point, unless you've muted them yourself, and you can ask it directly too. Right. If not, I guess that means that you gave a lot of information. People are thinking about it. I know most of the presentation, at least the topics and things, were in your slide deck, which we can send out if people need it. I know the information on Google is not, right, that we were doing live. So
we'll get the link for that and put that.
Okay. Okay. Maybe you can tuck it in your slide deck before you send it to me, and then I could make sure everybody gets it.
Perfect.
And then any other questions people can, and if people have questions, they can always shoot them over to me or Kelly at the chamber, and we can look to find an answer, or maybe ask Tom or whatever. We can look to help you out with that too, of course. But it seems like everybody's pretty good. I don't see anything popping up. So again, I think that's great. Again, this will also be, it is being recorded and will be available on YouTube, and we'll put a link out probably like on Facebook or in some of the emails that we send out, so you can go and watch it again if you want to, or focus on specific sections. Very welcome. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. I think at this point, I will look to starting to end the call. Thank you, Tom, for taking the time putting the presentation together.
Sure thing, no problem. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, either through you or me directly, happy to help.
All right, very good. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Look to getting those businesses back open. All right. Have a good weekend coming up.